Welcome back to Adrenaline Static. So this is my wrap up for what I read in May. May is really the month that I decided to make a push to read a lot more. I am signed up for a BookBub, and so I got a ton of uh, ebook deals, and I was stacking them up actually, and so I wanted to really just kind of tackle some of the stuff that I've been uh, getting in my Kindle. Also, May is when school finally starts to wrap up for teachers. So I was experiencing a lot more mental bandwidth that wasn't being taken up by work. So the first book that I finished in May is I'm starting to worry about this Black Box of Doom by Jason Pargin. I think that's how you say Pargin. I had started this in April, but I wrapped it up at the very beginning of May. This is my first Jason Pargin book. I had known about him for a while. Um, he used to write under a pseudonym. I think it was Jason Wong, and he wrote the John Dies at the End series, which I think that was his first like series of novels. In fact, I think that has a book 5 coming out soon. I'm interested in hopping into those, but I really like this book. The premise is that this guy is kind of a loser. He's driving Uber, and he streams on Twitch, and he gets called to this job where this woman is sitting on a giant black box, a roadie case, um, and she's offering, I believe, $200,000 if he will take her from LA to Washington, D.C. Um, and they have to get there by the 4th of July. And I think they're about a week out when the book starts. Um, and the only stipulation is he can't take his phone or any other devices. So they're completely um, cut off from the world. And it's a road trip story. It has a lot of comedy, a lot of funny parts to it. There's a lot of commentary on society, social issues, the uh, kind of crisis of phone addiction and outrage culture is is kind of baked into. There's a lot of it's a road trip movie, a road trip novel, and so you have the characters are in a car a lot talking about life and what's going on. It made me think a lot of like Coen Brothers movies. It really felt like a novelized Coen Brothers film. I really like this. I'll pick up another Jason Pargin book. So I really enjoyed this. And I don't know if I got that from BookBub. I followed Jason on TikTok, and I never realized he was um, what's his pseudonym, Jason Wong? I think it was. I never realized that they were the same person until I was looking at his other novels on Amazon and saw that used to be a pseudonym. I don't know if I got this on BookBub or not. Not I know that during May he's actually offering that for $5 for the Kindle version. But literally every book on my uh, May reads was a BookBub book except for one. The next book I read was Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed, um, and really I was pulled into this book three different ways. One, it was on BookWeb and it was like $2 one day. Two, I've taught Macbeth for several years, and so I'm pretty familiar with the Shakespeare play. And I'm always into like retelling of Shakespeare. And I was like, oh, this sounds like a really good change of pace. Let's see what it's like from Lady Macbeth's perspective. And three, the cover is awesome. It looks so cool. It goes so hard. So those three things brought me in. As I was reading it, I had never heard of Ava Reed. Uh, Apparently, she's written some YA. Some people classified this book as YA. I didn't. It didn't feel like a YA novel to me, though I could see the Lady Macbeth is young. She's 17, which seems to be the age that every YA protagonist starts off at. Um, and the one thing I was really looking forward to when I was reading this book is how are they going to change or subvert stuff from the original play. Um, I as I was reading this, I saw some people calling this a feminist retelling or criticizing it for being called a feminist retelling and not um, actually being a feminist retelling. Um, Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed is the story of a young woman who is used as a tool by the men in her life. She's a tool. She's trained to be a tool by her father, and she is betrothed to Macbeth because of the tool that she can be. There's uh, the idea in this novel is that Lady Macbeth is a witch seed. She's some kind of she has supernatural powers. Um, the power that she has is that if a man looks into her eyes directly into her eyes, she can become they can become bewitched by her. And so, on the cover of this book, it portrays Lady Macbeth with this. Um, I guess her name's actually Rosil. Rosil, um, with this veil over her face, and by taking this veil off and looking to a man's eyes, she can bewitch them. As the novel goes on, you start to wonder: is this true? Is this just something? Is this just a tale that her father made up to make her more enticing to people like Macbeth, who is in this novel um, into getting kind of supernatural edges and divination, which is a subversion from the play. I really this felt like how Marvel does like the ultimate line. This felt like ultimate Macbeth. It's told through another lens, but Macbeth is this crazy, powerful, imposing figure. He's this Scottish warrior. Um, he's the baddest of all asses. Um, he has so in the I'm trying to not give too much about this novel, but in the original play, um, it's a story of ambition, and the question in the original play is what is pricking the ambition of Macbeth? Is it these prophecies he's given through witches? Is it the prodding of his wife in the original play, the prodding of Lady Macbeth? Um, what is it that's actually pushing him um, to do what he is doing? In this, he's ambitious from the get go. He is constantly looking to um, make himself greater, to become king hereafter, um, and it is he who prods and attempts to use Lady Macbeth as a tool to further himself. I really, really like this. Um, it's a easy read, though it does have a few things in there. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to remember the name of this term. I had never heard about this until this book, but it was I think it's cruentation. Editor Zach will put the word on the screen right now. But anyway, it's this way of finding guilt, that this superstitious way of finding guilt. They'll take some kind of religious figure, and that person will do this incantation over the dead body, and the wounds upon the body that um, visited death upon this person are supposed to bleed when in the presence of the person who caused the wounds. So I thought that was a really cool thing, and they actually do it on a living uh, person at the beginning of this. So they're trying to find out who attacked Banquo. I'm sorry, Fleance, Banquo's son. If you know the play, you know who I'm talking about. But there's an attack that happens, and this is not in the original play, but there's this attack that happens. Lady Macbeth is part of it, and they're trying to find out who did it. And the idea is that his wound will bleed in the presence of the person who caused the wound. Sorry, brain farted for a moment. This has some very, very um, gory and brutal scenes, which I thought they're really cool. They're not Macbeth is a brutal play, um, but there is some of the fates of some of these characters is is crazy, and I loved the questioning of the supernatural element throughout this. Um, it was such a good read, such an easy read. I was wanting to see what happened the whole time I was reading it, so I really liked it. And I don't think you have to have be familiar with Macbeth to enjoy this, but I think that will add um, quite a bit to enjoying it. So hopefully your high school English teacher taught you about Macbeth, and you can hop into this and really enjoy it. The book I just finished. I guess technically I finished this in June, but I read Hyde by Kirsten White. Um, I loved the initial premise of this, which is 14 people are rounded up to play hide and seek in an abandoned amusement park, and one of them will win this $50,000 prize. And it turns out there's something sinister going on in the park. Um, this felt like a popcorn movie. Um, there it was kind of a wacky premise. I'm not gonna lie, um, and there was a few moments as I was reading this that um, I was kind of had me rolling my eyes, um, but I think the fact is I was rolling my eyes at the cheesiness of some of the things that happen in here. But I think that's kind of the point. Um, Probably in what would be the end of the second act, if you're thinking of a three-act story structure. Um, I was kind of I never had the idea of DNFing it, but I was kind of um, just getting a little um, what is the word? It felt a little contrived in some parts, and of course the whole it's a fiction fiction novel, so of course it's going to be contrived. It's there to entertain. Um, However, by the time we get to the third act in this book, it picks up, and you have to know what's going to happen. Um, it's hard to talk about this without giving away spoilers. This is a horror novel. It went a way that I was not expecting. I was uh, I was expecting something. I wasn't expecting as much supernatural in this book as there is. I was really thinking more of like Most Dangerous Game, but with a horror twist, a really gory horror twist. Um, but it has a lot of horror and occult mixed in, which I really thought was cool. And also, there's a graphic novel of this, which I think it would be really awesome. I'm kind of considering checking out the graphic novel. Maybe give myself a little time to forget some of the story beats, some of the finer details, and really get into it um, later. So I've put that on my wish list. Maybe I'll check it out um, as we get a little as we get a little distance from this. The fact that there's 14 characters, I think that kind of detracts from it. I think Kirsten White did a very good job of giving the characters some unique attributes. They all have some role that they have on the outside. The main character, Mac, is probably the most unique among them, but some of the characters uh, some of them are gone pretty soon, and I had a hard time remembering who was what. Um, and the thing I that was kind of cool was Kirsten White incorporates that into the narrative by the end of the book. I don't we don't even remember the name of these people who were gone on day one. Um, so I like this. Um, I would recommend it if you like horror. It's a very very quick read. I think I started this right at the end of May, and I read it in less than a week, and just usually I read on when I'm going to bed. So, but I was really hooked on this one, wanting to get through it. Now, the book of the month of May, which I'm sure was for a lot of folks, was Parade of Horribles by Matt Dinneman, uh, book 8 in Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I'll confess, I listen to audiobooks because Jeff Hayes is great. Um, this is my new favorite for this series. I love this book. Um, I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. I love Matt Dinneman. Um, I was so excited for this. I love that this book was a smaller focus. Book 7 with Faction Wars, there was a lot of moving parts in that novel. This one is much tighter with the races, a smaller focus with Donna and Carl in, I believe, it's 7 heats throughout the story. So a lot of the side characters don't get as much time. They're still there. All of the favorites are still there, but um, it's very very focused on Carl and Donut. Um, they're dealing with some of the things, the fallout from um, the end of Faction Wars, the trauma that they're feeling from that. Uh, One thing I love about Dungeon Crawler Carl books is at the beginning of each book, they're doing like they're opening all their boxes. I love seeing what they get in the boxes. Um, However, at the beginning of some of the books, now I grinded the first 7 books last summer, um, and so maybe this is not the case for everybody, but I did start to feel like I'm I just want to move on with the narrative and not open these boxes. But since it's been 12 months, maybe 10 months since I finished book 7, I was loving the prizes they're receiving, the names of the boxes, the stuff that's coming out. I really loved it. This also has this hub town called Hungry Eyes, and it has this very 80s sheen on it, which I loved. I thought it was great. I love the 80s elements in the book, which is weird because I despise the 80s typically. And I feel like this book had um, per page more funny moments than we got in book 7. Don't get me wrong, book 7 is hilarious, but I thought there was so much humor um, in book 8, Parade of Horribles, um, that I thought was kind of missing. Now, Faction Wars was a huge deal, um, but I thought there was a lot more humor. One thing I loved about this novel is, okay, so in Faction Wars in book 7, there's all sorts of stuff going on outside of the dungeon. Um, and because it's such a large scale thing, that makes sense. In book 8, we're not outside of the dungeon too much. There are some parts of that where we're seeing what's going on with the um, everything that's happening in Earth system, but it was much more rare. I really, really loved Parade of Horribles. If you haven't started Dungeon Crawler Carl, I don't know why you haven't. Um, I think with everybody, the premise sounds so crazy. It's lit RPG, and I know that that's a turnoff for some people, but I think it's the rare bird that doesn't like a Dungeon Crawler Carl um, book. So anyway, that's what I read in May. I'm looking forward to reading a lot more this month as I'm on summer vacation and have a lot more time. I started The Will of the Many. Holy cow, what a good book. I'm only 4 chapters in, but it's so good. I've also been reading Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker, so I'm looking forward to talking about that in my June wrap up. But until next time, I will see you later. Let me know what you read in May, what you're reading this month in the comments, and I will see you next time. You've been you. I've been Zach. This is Adrenaline Static. Give me a sub if you want to follow along, and have a great day. Peace.